Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a totally fascinating intersection of human biology and behavioral psychology. We're going to look at exactly what exercise does to your body, literally on a cellular and neurological level, and then we're going to crack the code on how to psychologically build a lasting habit so you actually keep doing it. No more starting and stopping. Let's get right into it.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll hit the exercise timeline, then brain health and BDNF. After that, we'll break down the habit loop, figure out how to find your perfect reminder, and finally wrap up with starting small and rewarding yourself.
All right, Section 1, the exercise timeline.
So the very minute you start moving your body, it actually begins to adapt. It's amazing. Notice how within just the first 10 minutes, your heart rate revs up, pumping more blood to your brain to make you super alert, while simultaneously blocking pain signals. Your digestive system even takes a backseat, slowing down just to prioritize energy for your muscles. Jump ahead to an hour post-workout, and you might hit something called post-exercise hypotension. That's where your blood pressure actually drops lower than your normal resting levels. And the kicker? Within a week, your cells literally multiply their mini power plants, the mitochondria, so your body actually becomes structurally better at producing energy. And honestly, this blew my mind. The benefits of just a single session can last for days. Research shows that just 45 minutes of vigorous cycling can spike your metabolic rate by a whopping 40%. To put that in perspective, that elevated metabolic engine keeps humming for up to 14 hours over the next 3 days. Your body literally turns into an absolute engine of efficiency.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Day one usually brings some pretty serious physical resistance, right? You get that muscle microtrauma, which brings on that fun delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS. We've all been there, and it's completely normal. But look at the comparison here. By week 4, that soreness is totally minimized, and you're looking at profound upgrades literally across the board. We're talking physical and mental health improvements for sure, but also social and even financial health upgrades. I mean, think about it. Improved productivity, way fewer sick days. But here's the thing. The benefits aren't just from the neck down. What happens to your brain is just as wild.
Which brings us to Section 2, Brain Health and BDNF.
Okay, let's talk about BDNF. That stands for Brain-Derived Neurotrophic Factor. Basically, you can think of BDNF as Miracle-Gro for your brain. It's this endogenous protein that acts as a primary facilitator of neuroplasticity. It actively supports the health of your neurons and encourages the growth of fresh synapses and brand new neurons. If you want your brain to heal, adapt, and learn, and who doesn't, you want a high concentration of this stuff. So get this. A systematic review of stroke survivors showed a truly surprising contrast. A single session of high-intensity aerobic exercise causes a massive, highly significant spike in this brain-boosting protein. But interestingly enough, non-aerobic workouts, like basic flexibility exercises or your standard physical therapy, didn't show that same significant increase. The takeaway here? Aerobic intensity is absolutely critical when it comes to regulating this miraculous brain chemical. Moving right along to Section 3, the habit loop.
All right, so now that we know exactly why we need to exercise, we really have to avoid the trap of chasing overnight success. You know what I mean? The most common mistake people make when they start an exercise routine is obsessing over a massive, distant result. They want to lose 100 pounds overnight or squat 300 pounds by tomorrow morning. But here's the catch. Focusing on that dramatic transformation actually tricks your brain into doing too much way too soon. Instead, behavioral psychology tells us we need to flip the script and focus on the daily process. Almost every single habit you have right now is just the result of thousands of tiny daily decisions. It's those little daily choices that actually build your identity into the type of person who just exercises naturally.
To rewire our daily process, we're going to lean on behavioral psychology, specifically author James Clear's concept of the 3 R's of habit change: reminder, routine, and reward. Literally every single habit you have follows this simple 3-step pattern. Check out how this cycle actually feeds itself. First, a reminder or a trigger initiates an action. That action is your routine. When that routine gives you a positive reward, it creates a super powerful feedback loop. That reward essentially high-fives your brain and says, hey, next time this reminder happens, let's do the exact same thing. If you run through this cycle enough times, your behavior stops requiring any active willpower at all. It just becomes an automatic habit.
Let's put this into practice with Section 4, Finding Your Perfect Reminder.
The absolute most crucial first step in building your exercise loop is finding the right trigger. And listen closely, you need to stop relying on motivation. I mean it. Motivation is just an emotion. It comes and goes. Relying on a fickle feeling to build a consistent habit just doesn't make any sense, right? Instead, you need to encode your new behavior into a current, rock-solid habit. You literally piggyback the new difficult action onto something you already do completely effortlessly. The best way to do this? Make a list of things you do without fail every single day. Things like brushing your teeth, flushing the toilet, stopping at a red light on your commute, or even just sitting down for dinner or watching a TV commercial. You want to use these existing, guaranteed events as the triggers for your new habit. So for example, you could say, when a commercial comes on TV, I will do 5 push-ups. The commercial is the reminder, and it completely bypasses the need for you to feel motivated. And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, starting small and rewarding. Okay, so once your reminder is locked in, you have to execute the routine. To avoid getting totally overwhelmed by those massive, audacious life goals, you've got to start small, like incredibly small. To quote Leo Babbitt, you have to make it so easy you can't say no. The routine needs to be so remarkably tiny that your brain puts up absolutely zero psychological resistance to getting it done.
A really perfect example of this comes from Stanford professor B.J. Fogg when talking about building a flossing habit. His advice? Don't commit to flossing all your teeth right away. Just commit to flossing exactly one tooth immediately after you brush. Brushing is your reminder. Flossing one tooth is your incredibly easy routine. In the beginning, performance doesn't matter even a little bit. What matters is simply becoming the type of person who consistently sticks to the new behavior. Finally, to seal the deal on that 3 R's loop, you have to reward yourself. Because human beings naturally want to keep doing things that make us feel good, you must immediately reward yourself with positive self-talk. Now, I know it might sound a little silly, but loudly shouting victory right after flossing that single tooth, or saying good work after your TV commercial push-ups, actually gives your brain the dopamine hit it's craving. That immediate feeling of success is the exact reward that solidifies the habit loop in your brain. Which leaves us with this final, vital thought to chew on. Armed with the knowledge of how exercise dramatically transforms your biology and how your brain actually wires habits, what is your next move? Will you keep chasing an exhausting, nearly impossible overnight success that relies on fleeting motivation? Or will you pick one tiny, unbreakable trigger today to easily start transforming your life? The science is crystal clear, but the choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.